It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to do a reaction discussion video from recommended by one of you guys actually in the Discord community. If you want to be able to do that, just go ahead and join the Discord, scroll down the rules and hit the knife emoji so you can speak with the rest of us about different topics, whether it be DBD or even movies, books, you know, whatever other topics within the horror genre. We have a lot of stuff on that. That being said, appreciate you guys recommending videos to be discussed. So this one is from Refined, titled My Opinion on the Dead by Daylight Creator Program. Now, if you want to watch the original video where I was actually talking about the situation at hand, I can link that at the end. But we'll be specifically talking about more details coming from Refined, discussing why he was removed from the creator program. And we're seeing right here, it is the email that was sent to him. And I want to quickly preface that this is pivotal information to add on to what I was stating in that previous video, which is we as content creators in this space that criticize behavior are most likely being silenced in order to push their agendas for, you know, for whatever reasons. I mean, I don't know what their intention behind it fully really is, but it is very obvious that they're trying to silence people that are criticizing their product, that are criticizing their actions, and are criticizing the way, like, their conduct when it comes to this game. And so, according to this email here, which says, thank you for your involvement and your contributions, but this says that we have to inform you because you've been removed, and it just says that it's been flagged to our team that you've engaged in activity that is in direct violation of our program policy that you agreed to when you joined. And it even adds on that when you join the program, the removal can occur at any time at the discretion of the Dead by Daylight team. Now, I've had people comment like, what happened? Why did he get removed? There was no explanation really. It was just, hey, you just been removed for some activity. They never specified what activity. They even added on the fact that they can just remove you whenever they feel like. And that, to me, is not a good sign if you are trying to engage with the creator program and you are trying to, you know, actually speak your mind on the unfairness that comes in with this game, the sort of like, I would even argue just like the sort of like blatantly divided community, alongside the fact that behavior only will endorse people that either don't speak on the problems or only believe the same things that behavior does with the game and stuff like that. And it seems to me that they just, for whatever reason from behavior, like, they just really do not care about the killer players, at least from what the impression I'm getting, because we're going from the fact that even when people uninstall, there was never any questions on multiple surveys, never any questions for why killer players may delete the game, but there were plenty for why survivors would. So I just think that's a little bit unfair. Just to use that as one example, there are many others, but let's go ahead and, you know, at least allow Refined here to kind of explain a couple things. But as we know, this is just blatantly unfair and makes no sense.
That is in direct violation of our creator program policy that you agreed to when you joined. Okay, so there's nothing specific outlined there. I have absolutely no idea what I've done, what I could have done. So that really good, like, that basically gives me nothing to work with, right? Essentially, it's saying something without saying anything, right? As a reminder, when you joined the program, it was mentioned that removal can occur at any time at the discretion of the Dead by Daylight team, okay? So that's basically it. The last part is irrelevant. We get hit with this, and we're just kind of like, oh, okay, right, that's okay, I guess. It is worth bearing in mind that I was live whilst I received this. They sent this email to me at, I believe, around 10:20 p.m., okay, so we were already streaming at this time. This is why, unfortunately, I discovered this news after we'd already left the program and I didn't even know about it. So that kind of sucked, I've got to be real. And naturally, I was a little bit upset, right? Because I have no idea why they've done it. I was trying to go back and forth, like, what have I done? What have I said? And I will say, I have been very critical of behavior, okay? It's not a lie, right? A lot of my content recently has really been hitting out at like the pain points in the community, a lot of killers suffering with killer anxiety, and a lot of these things coming together and making people quite mad, right? It was never to spark an us versus them. In fact, if anybody spent a little bit of time inside my content, you would know that I never actually want the us versus them argument to get any worse.
I want to stop it there because this is the same sort of perspective that I've been having with this game. This is the same stuff that I've been talking about in my own content. As much as people will try to use Refined as an example, or myself as an example, to try to push the us versus them narrative, I think that it's important to use the not only the fact that we're trying to point out the pain points that are not being discussed, number one, but two, it's also really important that we use, we use the data, we use the facts. We use things that are literally being shown here to prove that these things are occurring, to show that these things are happening. And when you have like content creators that get added in to the creator program that are sitting around and not acknowledging data, not acknowledging facts, not understand, like not trying to even put a spotlight on these important topics, I think that is really telling for what behavior is looking for. They want people to not talk about those problems. They want people to not speak out on those things. They want people to fence it. They want people to not ever like pull out the fact that there is a blatant bias, or the fact that they're not balancing their game correctly, or the fact that they're just not caring about the consumer at all. Like they are only concerned with milking the money from very specific people from the community itself, and not to create a good product that people can engage with and enjoy. And that's, I think, is crazy. And I have to add on to the fact that I agree with Refined. No, like I'm not trying to add on to the us versus them argument, but we also have to take into account that we are in a community that if we speak out on things that they don't like, all of a sudden you're a part of the problem. You become the villain of the community because you speak out on the blatant sort of biases or the blatant like disconnects in logic and things like that. And I pointed out constantly when looking at these like forum posts and things like that, there's people with a very like deranged sort of perspectives on this game, or even the community, that hold these crazy views, and for some reason it spreads like wildfire. And it's like what else is there to really say? You know what I mean? Let's continue.
I want it to get better, but I want some equality, and I want the killer players in the fog to also have their voices heard, right? And my factual evidence to back that up was that last year, during the Quality of Life Initiative, we got barely nothing for the killers, right? In terms of surveys, right? So I used to talk about this a lot. Behaviour would release a lot of surveys, and everything in there would be talking about, it's basically all survivor-sided questions, okay? So which killer do you not like the most? Is there anything in the game that you hate that the killer does? Blah, 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 right? And then they came out with their next thing. Yo, Obi-Wan, thank you for the 13 months, bro. I appreciate that. Obviously, we're just, trying to be a voice for a lot of killer players out there, because I genuinely felt in my heart that there was a lot of people out there that were having killer anxiety. They didn't dare go and play killer, and obviously we don't want that, right? If we genuinely care about the game and the overall game balance, we want people to enjoy playing the game. We need to do something about it, and we must talk about it. Even if it's uncomfortable, we have to talk about it if we want.
This is exactly something that I was talking about myself in previous videos, and Refined had really put a spotlight on it. And that really spread around, which is really nice, because of the fact that I was somebody who experienced that personally, and I didn't really think that that was something that a lot of people would have experienced. I thought it was just like a specific situation that I ended up encountering at some point, but many people shared it that they also experienced that. People who reacted to that same video had also shared they experienced that same thing. I'm saying that I've experienced that same thing. I've seen another creator saying that they experienced that same thing and tried to help out with that as well. So time and time again, I kept hearing about the killer anxiety situation. At the end of the day, it's a real thing, right? It's kind of crazy that there's still people that say that it just somehow isn't a thing. Clearly, they just, I don't know how to really respond to that. I mean, hey, congratulations, you're one of the lucky ones. But for those people that do have experienced that, or have experienced that, they'd understand that that is a situation to be in, and they just end up not playing specifically killer. They will stick on survivor, and it's just more casual that way, you know, and I understand that. So because of that, of course, it's best to put a spotlight on that so people can feel like they're not alone in that situation. And that's why I wanted to put a spotlight on it myself. And I think that it's an important thing to do. And I think that's also very telling for like the state of the game, because the fact that one side literally feels just terrible to play, that the point that people just do not want to play, either because they don't like, they're experiencing the anxiety, but or just in general they're just like, I can't handle this, this is way too stressful or whatever have you, is very telling for what's going on with that particular side. Like the game, if the game is ultimately supposed to be fun and something to engage with and stuff like that, the fact that it is making people feel that way on only one side, because the other side is really not that crazy in comparison, right? Because you're relying on 3 other people that can pick up your slack, or at least you're hanging out with friends, and on that particular side you're able to just kind of like laugh it off and have a good time anyway. But with killer, it's like you're on your own, like you're not talking to anybody, you're literally just there, you're pretty much locked in unless you're in a VC with other people. But say you're playing just solo or whatever have you, it just adds more to it. So that's really the point that I think is like really being made here.
Want to make progress and do something as a community, right? So I decided to do something about that. I decided to put that stress on my shoulders, and I would talk for killers and try and give this opportunity to the developers for them to do something about it. Now, obviously, I never predicted being kicked out of the creator program would be a result of it. And of course, I'm only left to speculate, because this truly is the only information that I have been given. Now, I have sent an email to Behaviour. In fact, I did it the same night this happened. And I got nothing back. It's now been nearly 4 days and I've not received anything back. So I got this lovely email where they kicked me out of the program at about 10:20 at night for me when I was currently live streaming. I politely asked for context so that I could maybe defend myself or give some kind of context to it all. And they have failed to get back to me within 4 days. So they're very quick at getting rid of people. Which is very unfortunate, because I was very happy to be there and represent them, and I've been trying my best to keep players entertained and give them a space, and there's been so many lovely people in our community now that have gotten over their killer anxiety or are dealing with it better, and they actually have thanked us so many times, and bless your hearts, guys, for doing so. You guys have now actually found your love for DBD again, so I thought we were doing the right thing, right? I thought we were making a movement that was actually beneficial for the game. I thought we were onto something good.
So that right there is something I wanted to really put a spotlight on, because I think that is a key component that needs to be really emphasized and stated here. We're talking about Behaviour here, who is actively trying to allow people to apply for this program that they're using to try to allow creators to be essentially a part of their loop, in a sense, their circle, in order to promote their product, their game, to really show like they're in line with the community, whatever have you, and have people represent Behaviour in that kind of way. And there is yet no communication as to why you're being removed. There is no reason given as to why you're being removed. There is no feedback as to why you're being removed. There is just all of this like just nonsense going on with this program, and it's kind of insane. I'm just saying, it seems as if they're just trying to silence people that are speaking out against their game. That's what it just seems like to me. That's what it seems like to me. I mean, because that's what it's implying. I mean, if they're actively not giving any feedback, they're not responding to any email, they have no one explaining it, they have no one speaking out on it, there's no post that explains what's going on, and then they have a literally in fine print saying we can just remove you whenever we want, whenever we feel like, without warning, just because. That already is very telling on what this program's about. That already should be a red flag for a good majority of people. Now, sure, if you're just a person that is just playing the game and you're not speaking out on Behaviour stuff, cool. But for people that do, for the people that want to see actual positive change, to the point that they are going to take the time out of their day to even voice these opinions and to try to voice these things, to bring awareness to problems that are within the game, I think that's very telling. And like I've said, I've said this in a previous video. I think that they just want us to consume the slop like good little pay pigs, and they're not going to care about what we think about their game. They're not going to care about what we think about the product. They're just concerned on lining the money so that they can become publishers in the future. That's what it seems like to me. And that to me is a red flag. It's probably not even worth applying for at this point, especially if you are a killer player or even somebody who speaks out on the game at all. And what's even funnier is that there's people that don't even speak out on the game in the first place that are also getting denied. There are people that are most likely not even qualifying that are getting added in. Not to say that some of those people don't deserve to be there, but if they're really trying to enforce these policies, they're removing people that have done nothing wrong. They're keeping people that don't even qualify. Like this creator program is a mess. So what are we doing? Like, what's wrong with their game? What's wrong with their program? So I just have to say, like, this is ridiculous. And I want to put a spotlight on this, and I wanted to at least come out and give you guys a little bit more context from Refined as well. If you want to watch the original video, it is linked in the description. He goes into more detail on his thoughts and stuff like that. But I wanted to at least give my take on this because it's a little bit overdue, of course, but also just sort of a warning, and maybe just sort of to help maybe, you know, give people some kind of context and stuff like that, inform people, because this is what behavior is all about. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Consider supporting the channel with a thumbs up and a comment on your thoughts. If you really want to support, you can go ahead and sub on Twitch. You can also become a member on Patreon or YouTube to get access to all these fun little perks and have your name at the read off at the end of every video. I will see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off our members from Patreon. Pro King 101, YouTube members: Cargan Falcon, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cozy Bozy, Theo Endire, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. And for the Twitch, we have Final Girl Bunny, Leona Art, Zazabu, Evil Blade, Danica, Crow Vader, Cake is a Road, Zeneron, Ginsburg, Mr. Morik, Kevin, Zero Mocker, Ashai Boo, and Gryffindor. Appreciate you guys supporting. Really means a lot. If you want to become a member, you can go ahead and join through Patreon or YouTube members, or even sub on Twitch. See you guys in the next one.